Okay, so you've probably lost track of how many hours you've spent on TikTok, right? Between the dance challenges and the oh-so-relatable comedy skits, it's hard to resist.
And let's not forget those oh-so-cute animal videos. I mean, who can resist a cat in a tiny hat?
Exactly. But while we're all getting sucked into the vortex of viral trends, there's a bigger conversation happening around this social media giant.
A conversation that has serious implications for the future of the internet as we know it.
We're talking about the debate over whether to ban TikTok.
Yep, a debate that has sparked controversy worldwide, with governments, businesses, and everyday users weighing in on the potential risks and rewards.
And that's what we're diving into today, folks.
We've got some pasted texts with some pretty interesting information on this very topic, and we're going to break it all down for you.
So buckle up, because we're going on a deep dive into the heart of the TikTok controversy.
Exploring the arguments for and against a ban, and ultimately trying to understand what's at stake for all of us.
So let's start with why TikTok is even in the hot seat in the first place.
Well, you see, it all boils down to concerns about national security and data privacy.
Two pretty big buzzwords these days.
Right, and they're not just abstract concepts. They have real-world consequences, especially when it comes to a platform as powerful as TikTok.
Okay, so let's break it down. First up, national security.
So the main worry here is about TikTok's parent company, ByteDance, which is a Chinese company.
And that's where things get a little tricky, right?
Yeah, because under Chinese law, there's this thing called the National Intelligence Law, which basically means the Chinese government can request data from companies like ByteDance whenever they want.
So theoretically, our data could end up in the hands of the Chinese government.
That's the fear, and it's fear that's shared by a lot of people.
According to our sources, about 63% of American users are concerned about their data being shared with the Chinese government.
It's a pretty big deal.
And it's not just speculation either. The U.S. government actually took action back in 2022,
They banned TikTok from all government devices.
showing they're taking those security risks pretty seriously.
And, there have even been whispers about TikTok being used for surveillance or to spread propaganda.
Though it's important to note that so far there's not much concrete evidence to support those claims.
It's like this big digital mystery, lots of smoke, but no clear fire.
Okay, so we've got this national security angle, but then there's the whole data privacy issue, which, let's face it, is a concern with pretty much all social media platforms these days.
Absolutely. It's not just a TikTok thing.
But reports have shown that TikTok collects a massive amount of data on its users.
Like, what are we talking about here?
Everything from your location and browsing history to even how you scroll and pause on videos.
Basically, they're tracking your every move on the app.
So the question is this really that different from what other social media giants are doing?
I mean, Facebook, Google, Instagram, they're all collecting data on us, too.
It's like we're trading our privacy for the convenience and entertainment these platforms provide.
And it raises a really important question. Are we okay with that trade-off?
Because if we are, then maybe singling out TikTok isn't fair.
Maybe it's just the scapegoat for a much bigger problem.
But then again, some countries have taken a hard-line stance against TikTok specifically,
Yeah. India, for example, they banned TikTok outright back in 2020.
citing both national security and data privacy concerns,
It was a pretty bold move, and it definitely made waves around the world.
leaving everyone wondering if other countries would follow suit.
And that brings us to the bigger picture, the ethical and regulatory implications of all this.
Because if governments start banning popular apps like TikTok, it could set a precedent for future internet regulation.
And potentially lead to a more fragmented and controlled digital world,
So it's a slippery slope we're dealing with here.
with a lot of questions about how to balance national security and personal freedom in the digital age.
But let's not forget the other side of the coin.
The fact that TikTok has had a massive impact on our culture and economy.
I mean, it's a global phenomenon, spawning trends, dances, memes, and even launching music careers.
Think Lil Nas X and Old Town Road. That song blew up on TikTok.
And it's become a platform for creators to build entire businesses.
Like Charlie D'Amelio, who went from dancing in her bedroom to becoming a multimillionaire influencer.
It's pretty incredible to see the opportunities TikTok has created.
And a ban would not only silence these creators, but also potentially wipe out a significant chunk of their income.
And let's not forget the small businesses that rely on TikTok for advertising.
They would lose a major avenue to reach their customers.
So the economic ripple effects of a ban could be huge.
Which brings us back to the central question, how do we weigh the potential risks of TikTok against its real-world benefits?
That's a tough one for sure.
Because on one hand, we have these legitimate concerns about security and privacy, but on the other hand, we have this vibrant, creative, and economically significant platform.
So it's a classic dilemma balancing potential harm with tangible good.
And it forces us to ask ourselves some pretty tough questions.
What are we willing to sacrifice in the name of security?
How much control are we comfortable giving up?
And ultimately, where do we draw the line?
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
What stood out to you the most?
Was it the security risks, the data privacy issues, or the cultural and economic impact?
Because ultimately, this conversation is about more than just one app.
It's about the future of the internet and our place in it.
So where do you stand on the TikTok debate?
It's a complex issue with no easy answers, but hopefully this discussion is giving you some food for thought.
And maybe even inspired you to learn more and form your own informed opinion.
Because one thing's for sure, this conversation is far from over.
And it's one that we all need to be a part of.
Shaping the digital world we want to live in.
One scroll at a time.
Food for thought indeed.
Absolutely. All right, that's it for our deep dive into the TikTok ban debate. Thanks for joining us, folks.
Catch you on the next one.